My abortion story. To preface, I have had depression and anxiety since I was a child. There have been many times as an adult that I have been unable to do more than the most basic functions for myself because of crippling depression. 5 years ago, when I was 22, my partner and I found out that I was pregnant. We both panicked, and I decided I was not capable of caring for myself, much less a child. And if I went off for my antidepressants long enough to have the baby, I might spiral and harm myself. My partner supported me, and with the loss in my state, it took weeks to get the appointment, and then I had to go through a training and be forced to see an ultrasound before they will give me the pill. During those weeks that we waited, I was violently ill at all hours. I couldn't even drink water for the last 3 weeks. I had to be hospitalized for dehydration 3 times in 2 weeks. Just the first trimester was so hard on my body that I felt like I was dying. And when I went to my doctor for anti-nausea meds, he refused to give me any because it might harm the baby. And when I told him I was getting an abortion, he gave me a placebo pill. When I went to the hospital the first time, they checked the pill and told me it was just a placebo. I had no actual medicine in it. And they prescribed me an alternative medicine. My doctor punished me for my choice. And I ended up hospitalized because of that. Once I was able to have the abortion, within 12 hours the sickness stopped. And I was able to function like normal for the first time in 10 weeks. We are now trying to have a child now, that I have been stable for a few years. And we're in a better position to be able to take care of a child. But I have never regretted having an abortion. Shared anonymously by a member of Women's Rights News.
My abortion story. Sadly, I have two of these stories. First, I was a 16-year-old high school exchange student in a European country. I was so excited to go take a legal drink in a bar with a classmate. Probably too excited, as I soon was pretty drunk. I went outside the dance club for some fresh air. One of the men inside followed me and attacked me and raped me. My classmates scared him off looking for me, and after realizing what happened, took me to a hospital. I was scared and still didn't speak the local language very well, and not much was to explain to me, which was traumatic in itself. Eventually, I was given the morning after pill, which wasn't available in the US at that time. It was scary, but I was so grateful to not have to worry about being a teen mom in that situation. Later, I was dating a man for only a few months when we found out we were having our first child. I didn't want to have children at that time, but I let him talk me into keeping the baby and staying with him. He was in the military and we got married and traveled to a few duty stations across the country. This made it hard to see consistent medical care, and access to steady birth control wasn't easy. So, it's no surprise I had my second child less than a year after my first. I was dealing with postpartum issues, thousands of miles away from my family, and any support raising two children, while my husband was always away on maneuvers. I found out he was cheating with multiple partners. I confronted him, and he became violent and denied ever doing anything wrong. I knew I should have just left then, but didn't. There were periods of time when he wasn't bad, but he began to abuse prescription medications and drugs that would go undetected on a work drug test and was erratic. I found out I was pregnant for a third time, and my oldest wasn't even 3 yet. I made an appointment at a clinic and prayed. I know a lot of people think those of us who make that choice have no God or heart. But I prayed hard, and the answer was that I had 2 living children that would live in a worse situation if I had more children at that time. I went to my appointment and had an abortion. My husband became worse with me after, despite that he took me to and from the clinic for the procedure. I left him about a year later. Since then, I was able to graduate college and start grad school. My other children are happy, healthy, and do well in school. And I was able to find a stable relationship and have gone on to have other children. It's an incredibly different experience having a child when you are ready and stable. Shared anonymously by a member of Women's Rights News.
My abortion story. The condom broke the second time I had sex. My high school boyfriend's older sister promised to help me. I don't know where she is these days, but she's been on my mind. Perhaps she's thinking about me this week, or maybe I'm a lost memory, but I won't ever forget her. She had a plan, and I trusted her. She got Plan B and discreetly delivered it to me while I worked the drive-thru window at a Wendy's. I was scared shitless, raised by strict Catholics and 15 years old. Luckily, I didn't have to figure out how to get an abortion, and we never spoke on it again. We've gone long out We've long gone our own ways, but I owe her my life and truly can't thank her enough. My single-issue voter mom texted me big news when Roe was overturned. 22 years later, I'm still just as relieved that I had a choice. No one deserves to birth a child against their will. Pregnancy is not a punishment for any person at any age. Forced birth as a result of rape or incest is despicable and morally repugnant. Be the one that's there for them. Tell them it will be okay and help them get what they need. They are listening now. They will remember who will help and they will remember who won't. If you are someone that needs to not be pregnant, I am a safe person. I will help and never talk about it again. I am forever grateful to those who have fought and continue fighting for the rights that have allowed me to grow up and be who I am today. I will never stop fighting for our rights. My body is my own no matter what laws are passed. I am mine. Forced birth is disgusting, dangerous, and unacceptable. Shared anonymously by a member of Women's Rights News.
My abortion story. To put a woman in the situation of saying, do you want to live or do you want to die? And nothing comes from either choice. Do you want to live with a giant hole in your heart forever, or do you want to hemorrhage? You hear words like, your chances are higher, the baby has passed, let him go, he wasn't meant for this world, etc. The big question is, what option do you choose? Do you follow the medical advice of several doctors urging you to leave your current state, where late-term abortions are illegal and make you feel like a criminal in order to save your own life? Do you say goodbye to your family and pray that bringing in a stillborn child into this world with such high risks doesn't kill you? I made the choice to save myself, as selfish as it may seem. I knew my son had no chance for life, but I did, at only 27 years old. I knew his older brother needed me. I knew his future younger siblings needed me. My family needed me. My husband needed me. We packed our bags and headed 12 hours away to a place neither of us had been for a major medical procedure. The drive there was endless. It was filled with negative thoughts and regrets. The procedure table was cold, but the people surrounding me were warm. They truly cared about their patients and understood the pain and agony this decision causes. Nobody stops to ask, what would they do in your shoes? But guess what? It doesn't matter, because you will not be, nor will you ever be, in these exact shoes, in the minds of the mothers making the choice or their medical diagnosis. You cannot pretend to say that you would have risked it all to bring a precious baby with no heartbeat into this world over your own life. I pray you never have to make the decisions other women have made, other families have made. I pray you never have to make the choice between your own life or what society says. I pray you never beg God to take your own life and spare theirs. I pray you never have to experience the loss of a child and feel the guilt even when you have nothing to feel guilty about. Most of all, I pray for women's rights and the basic human right of choice. Do not pretend to be in situations you have never been in and tell me what choices you would have made, what opinions you would have sought out, and what you would have done with your own life-threatening diagnosis. Do not pretend that my child could have been saved if I had just stuck it out. Do not pretend you know a single thought that crossed through my mind. You cannot make laws or opinions on such things that do not concern you or your opinion. What gives you the right to control what choices women make with our bodies and futures? Do not pretend to walk in our shoes and feel our pain without once stepping foot into this world. You may not see or understand our battle, but you will hear our battle cry, because this is a war on women and our rights. You cannot claim to be giving basic human rights to live while taking away the basic rights of the mother to live. You cannot pick and choose which story fits your narrative of a justified abortion or what you feel is okay. It is my body, it's my choice. Shared anonymously by a member of Women's Rights News.
My story is not one of violence, youth, or medical emergency. My story, however, is similar to many other women. I'm happily married and I have two amazing children that I love with all my heart and soul. I have an okay job, a car, a house, and get by financially for the most part. But I never wanted more than 2 kids. A year after my second child was born, I found out I was pregnant while on birth control. I figured it out early and easily, as I know my body, and knew even before the test came back positive. I also knew I did not want another child, and neither did my spouse. We were already stretched thin with time, money, and just surviving, and neither of us wanted to bring another child into the world. Neither of us had the capacity to handle another child. We knew right away what our decision was. I was going to have an abortion. About a month after finding out I was pregnant, I went to clinic and had the procedure done. I never cried or hated myself because I knew it was the right decision for our family. I was not mentally, physically, or emotionally in place to have a third kid. A year later, I found a doctor willing to perform a tubal ligation on me and have never looked back. Having an abortion saved my family, saved us from depression, stress, financial issues, and so much more. My 2 children have a mom and dad that can focus on them and are able to be there for them